Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to, well, hopefully getting truly well informed. We dig into complex topics, pull out insights from various sources, and today we're looking at something pretty powerful, an ancient text, specifically a psalm that gives some profound wisdom for getting through tough times, for keeping trust when life feels chaotic.
Yeah, and this isn't just some old poem gathering dust. It's like a really raw emotional journey. You see faith, vulnerability. It hits home even now, surprisingly clearly. Think of it maybe as a guide to being resilient, to spiritual honesty, finding something solid when, everything else feels like it's falling apart.
Exactly. We're diving into Psalm 31. It's this really heartfelt prayer, trust, deliverance. It's all in there. You have to picture King David, but not the triumphant king. This is him at his lowest point. He's crying out to God, completely distressed, enemies all around, feeling isolated, worse, feeling betrayed by friends. But the amazing thing is, despite all that agony, he holds on to this deep faith. He believes God sees him, God hears him, and God will save him in the end.
So our mission here really is to unpack that wisdom. How does David's ancient experience, his struggle in Psalm 31, how can that actually, encourage our own obedience, strengthen our faith today?
Right. How does it translate? Okay, so let's get into it. Let's look at the psalm itself. David starts with this almost immediate, pretty bold declaration of trust, doesn't he?
He does, right out of the gate.
Yeah. In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be ashamed. Deliver me in thy righteousness. And then straight away calls God his rock, his fortress, his strength. He even commits his spirit into God's hand. It's incredibly strong language to start with, especially considering what comes next.
It really is. And what's striking is how fast that solid trust seems to pivot. It gives way to this really profound vulnerability. It's almost jarring. He doesn't try to pretty it up. He just dives right into the pain.
Yeah.
His eyes consumed with grief. His life is spent with grief. His years with sighing. He says his strength faileth. Yeah, it's completely raw, a gut-wrenching picture of suffering right after declaring all that faith. It shows belief isn't always neat. It can be messy, real.
And that suffering gets even more intense when he talks about the isolation, the betrayal. He feels like a reproach among all mine enemies. And he specifically mentions, especially among my neighbors, that must sting. He's a fear to his acquaintance. People literally ran away when they saw him.
Imagine that.
Okay, that line, I am forgotten as a dead man out of mind. I am like a broken vessel. That's heavy stuff.
Oh, incredibly heavy. Being forgotten as a dead man in that culture, that's like total erasure. Worse than just dying, in a way, and a broken vessel. Utterly useless. No purpose, no value. So this isn't just feeling down. It's a deep, personal, existential crisis.
And on top of that, actual enemies plotting to kill him. Slanders everywhere. It's overwhelming.
That broken vessel image, it just captures that complete desolation so well. But here's the crucial part. This is where the psalm makes this amazing turn. After pouring out all that grief, all that fear, feeling totally discarded, he makes a choice, a conscious pivot back to trust.
Okay.
He says, but I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, thou art my God. See? I said, it's an act of will, not just emotion.
Right, not just feeling it, but declaring it.
Exactly. And then comes that incredible line, my times are in thy hand. He moves from lament, from complaint, to this steadfast statement of faith. He starts praying for deliverance, asking for God's face to shine on him. It's like defiance in the face of it all.
It really is a whole journey in one psalm, isn't it? He finishes by praising God, acknowledging God's goodness for those who trust him, saying, God preserveth the faithful. It goes from trust through despair to this renewed, maybe even deeper faith. And then it spills over into praise, into encouraging others. It's not just about getting through it. It's about being changed by it.
Yeah, absolutely. And packed into this raw, honest story are these timeless truths. Wisdom that doesn't just describe faith, but actually helps us build resilience, invites us to commit more deeply to God now.
Okay, let's unpack some of those. Where do we start?
Well, first, there's this idea of God as a secure refuge. When David calls God his rock, his fortress, that imagery was potent back then.
Literal safety, right? A stronghold.
Exactly. Physical safety meant high walls, a mountain cave, a big rock you could hide behind. So for David, a king, a military guy, to say God is his ultimate fortress, especially when he's facing real danger, that's huge. It's humility. It's trust. It teaches us, when everything else feels like it's collapsing, when people let you down, where do you go? Go to what's unshakable, go to God. Understanding that directs our obedience, tells us where true safety is, and it strengthens faith by showing God as the ultimate protector.
So strength isn't being totally self-reliant.
Yeah.
It's knowing where your real security is.
Precisely. Which leads right into the second big insight. Trust is a choice, not just a feeling. David didn't necessarily feel trusting in that pit of despair. He declared it. I said, "Thou art my God."
That active part again.
Yes, it's an act of commitment, loyalty. It shows that faith isn't about pretending things aren't bad. It's a conscious decision to put your confidence in God anyway, even when your feelings are all over the place. And making that choice, especially when it's hard, that builds spiritual discipline. It strengthens your conviction that God is reliable no matter what the circumstances feel like. It encourages obedience because you're choosing God's perspective over your own fear. Third, and this is so important, Psalm 31 shows vulnerability is part of faith. David, this powerful figure, doesn't fake it. He pours out his soul, overwhelmed, despised, forgotten. He admits it all.
Yeah.
He doesn't edit out the messy parts, the grief, the fear. And the wisdom there is powerful. You don't have to put on a brave face for God. You don't need to be strong first. In fact, it's often in that raw honesty, that vulnerability, where the real connection happens, where growth starts. It encourages obedience to pray authentically, just as you are. And it strengthens faith by showing God welcomes our true selves, weaknesses and all.
I think that's so freeing. So many people feel they have to have it all together before they can even approach God.
Yeah.
David shows us, no, that's not it at all.
It really is freeing. And finally, David's journey points to this. Justice comes from God, not people. He's being slandered. People want him dead. But he doesn't plot revenge. He doesn't try to take matters into his own hands.
Which must have been tempting.
Oh, incredibly. Especially in that culture where personal honor and retaliation were often expected. But he puts his fate, his case, in God's hands. It teaches us that letting go of our need for immediate payback or our desire to control the outcome, that takes real humility. It encourages obedience by deferring to God's timing and his way. And it strengthens our faith in God's righteous character, trusting that ultimate justice is best left to him, the perfect authority. It frees us from carrying that burden of anger or trying to settle scores ourselves.
These are really powerful points. And they feel so current, even thousands of years later.
Yeah.
So how do we bridge that gap? How do these ancient truths specifically help us today? How do they encourage our obedience and strengthen our faith in 21st century life?
Great question. Because they really do connect. Think about mental health and spiritual honesty. David's feelings in Psalm 31, abandoned, anxious, afraid, they echo so much of what people experience today with mental health struggles. This psalm gives us a kind of spiritual permission slip. It shows faith isn't about pretending you're okay when you're not. It's not about hiding struggles. It's about where you turn when you have them. Realizing this encourages obedience to actually seek God, even in our lowest moments, maybe especially then. And it strengthens faith by offering God as a real anchor for our mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah, it pushes back against that curated perfection we see everywhere, especially online. David, a king, was utterly human.
Exactly, which ties into the next point. Boundaries in a world of noise. David felt attacked by lies, slander, fear coming from every side. Does that sound familiar?
A bit like scrolling through social media sometimes. Or just the news cycle.
Right, the constant judgment, the misinformation, the pressure. It's relentless. The timeless wisdom here is about protecting our inner space, guarding our minds. We need boundaries against all that external noise. We need refuge in something deeper, more stable than public opinion or getting likes. That encourages obedience in how we consume information, how we engage online. And it strengthens faith by grounding us in God's truth, his view of us, rather than chasing external validation. And then there's that incredibly powerful line we mentioned, "My times are in thy hand." This speaks directly to letting go of what you can't control.
Which is hard for us.
Oh, it is. Our culture is obsessed with control, isn't it? Planning everything, optimizing everything, trying to eliminate uncertainty. David's statement is the opposite. It's surrender. And there's incredible freedom in that.
How so?
Because it allows us to release the stuff that's not ours to carry anyway. The anxieties about the future, the outcomes we can't dictate. Letting go is freeing. So the application. Consciously give those things to God. That act encourages obedience through surrender, and it strengthens faith by deepening our trust in God's sovereignty, knowing he's got our lives, our times, secure in his hands. And one more thing. Notice the shift right at the end of the psalm, verse 24. David turns from his personal prayer outward. He exhorts the community.
Yes, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart.
All ye that hope in the Lord. Exactly. This tells us something vital. Speak encouragement. Hope isn't just a private thing we hoard. It's meant to be shared. Passed on.
Right.
This encourages obedience to actually be that source of strength for others. to share the hope we've found. And doing that, it strengthens not just our own faith, but the faith of the whole community. It builds everyone up.
Oh, okay, that's quite a journey through just one psalm, Psalm 31. We've seen David's bold start, that declaration of trust, then the plunge into despair, feeling broken, forgotten, and then that crucial choice, that pivot back to deciding to trust God, which leads eventually to praise and even encouraging others. It really covers the whole spectrum of human experience within faith, doesn't it?
It really does. Psalm 31 is just so raw, so emotional, so real. It makes it clear that, yeah, faith can include fear. Strength can exist alongside deep sorrow. And trusting God, it doesn't mean you won't have troubles. Not at all. But it does mean that trust can carry you through them.
It's not an escape hatch, but a lifeline through the storm.
Well put. Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe the question for you listening right now is this. What struggle are you holding on to today that you could maybe courageously commit into God's hand, just like David did?